Hello, besties, and welcome back to Bon Voyage Besties. I'm Rosa, and as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co host, Rachel. Today, we're packing our bags and hopping over to a place that has completely stolen our hearts. And that's Athens, Greece. In today's episode, we're breaking down how to plan the perfect Athenian adventure. We'll dive into the neighborhoods made for wandering, the meals that deserve your slowest, most indulgent pace, the best moment to climb the Acropolis, and tucked away courtyard bars that feel like the city is whispering its best kept secrets just to you, besties. We are beyond excited about this one. I've been to Athens a few times and I love it. And Rachel had visited actually this year. I feel like I have no concept of time. Sorry, guys. And it's a great place, especially for a girls' trip. So Athens is a city that we both adore, so we cannot wait for you to fall for it too. So grab your travel journal, pour yourself something delicious, and let's start planning your perfect getaway.
Yay! I love Athens. It's so funny because I feel like Athens is one of those places that I was hearing mixed things about prior to taking my trip to Greece. So last summer I did a friend's trip to Greece and we had like a set amount of time. I think it was like 10 or 11 days. So we allocated the time between Athens and Crete because Crete, it's the biggest island. You could easily spend a week there. But to get to Greece, it's easiest from Newark to fly into Athens. So I definitely wanted to spend a few days there. And I did hear mixed things. Like I heard that the history was amazing, but I also heard some things about it mostly being urban sprawl, being very busy, being sweltering in the summer. So I didn't go in with soaring high expectations, to be honest with you, but I absolutely loved Athens. I thought it was great.
Yeah, same. So I visited Athens for the first time. I think this was back in 2017. I went with two of my friends, and this was a catastrophe of a trip. So Athens was actually at the end of the leg of our trip. So honestly, like I didn't necessarily love it so much. It wasn't until the second time that I went to Athens that I actually find it to be much more charming, and I've fallen in love with it. I went in March of this year for the third time. And it's one of those cities that you kind of get lost in the ancient history. So imagine you're just like walking to brunch and you see the Acropolis high up, or you're like walking around ruins. You have like the modern city and the old history blending in together. So it's definitely one of those big cities that has stolen my heart over time. But my first instinct of Athens, I was like, you're a little rough. A little rough around the edges until you get to know Athens and you see it's such a sweet place.
Until you get to know it. I think with me, I was lucky because I'm very much a city person. So when we got there, we landed at the airport and transportation was surprisingly easy when we got there. Like at first I thought that we would have to reserve a cab ahead of time. My friend and I, we were staying in the Siri neighborhood, which is known for the nightlife. It has a lot of like small bars and restaurants. And I wasn't 100% sure how to get to our hotel, but we were lucky because we timed it perfectly for the train and it dropped us off right in the center and it was super easy. I will say with the train, and I'm sure we'll touch on this later, I think from the main airport, it runs every 45 minutes. So if you do miss the train, you may be waiting a little longer than some other European cities. But as soon as we got off the train and we saw the Acropolis there, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, just look at it. I see the Temple of Athena, I think it is up at the top. And my
Yeah.
heart was just soaring. I was like, I'm here. I'm in ancient Greece. And the vibes were just like all the way up from there. So really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. And I think I'm trying to remember what we did last time. Like my memory, I'm getting old, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to like, I think we might have done a taxi just because we were staying in the Plaka area, which was a little further away. And you can also do public transportation, super accessible as well. But I think out of convenience, the last time I went, because I was going with Michael and Samantha, it was just easier, more affordable to do the taxi. But that's one thing to bear in mind, depending on the location. Sometimes public transportation can just be more accessible because it is a big city. So sometimes you might encounter a lot of traffic depending on what time your flight lands. So that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, and we were lucky because we got there super early and everything was on time and the train wasn't super crowded yet. But yeah, the traffic is definitely something to consider. We took a day trip and we'll go into this later because there are a ton of fantastic day trips to do around Athens. Like if you're planning a trip there, you don't have to stay in the city 100% of the time. But to the place we went to, I had definitely underestimated how long it would take to get back. It took well over an hour and a half and there was still traffic everywhere at 10:30 at night. Now, being from New Jersey, we can be kind of used to this, but but we were really hungry at the time. So just keep that in mind when you land in, if you're jet lagged, if you book a cab, there could be some traffic, but it's fine. I promise that Athens is well worth it.
So I have to say, the first time that I went to Athens, I went with two of my friends, and we started our trip. We went to Mykonos, Santorini, and then we were gonna end the trip in Athens. And it was three girls. We had terrible food poisoning. We were just like miserable. So our first impression of Athens was our taxi driver just dropping us off at the train station and was like, "Hey, there's a marathon, so I can't drop you off at the hotel. Goodbye." And like just leaves us in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, none of us, we don't speak Greek. We have no idea. Thankfully, my friend, she was pretty savvy and was able to kind of navigate. So just going back to the public transportation, it definitely is accessible and it can feel a little overwhelming, but doing your research ahead of time and Google Maps was phenomenal. So don't be intimidated if at first you're just like thrown into the subway and then you got to kind of wing it.
Yeah, and I will say the subway there is pretty easy to use. It's not as big as other major European cities. So I immediately think of London with the tube and the metro in Paris. Like there's tons of lines everywhere. The trains like come frequently, but they're really large metro systems. The metro in Athens didn't seem to be nearly as big. Now this could also be like a downside because you can't necessarily take the metro, get off at a stop and be like 2 minutes walk to the Acropolis. You may have to do some finagling. And there still may be like some walking you need to do once you get off of the metro. But something that my friends and I did, and it was definitely worth it, we got a metro pass for 3 days because we were on and off a lot. And it definitely paid for itself. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to mess with ticket machines, you don't want the stress of worrying about it, you can certainly like buy a multi-day pass and then you just have to use that one ticket. So it made it very like easy for us to get around. Although I'll be honest, like where all the tourist attractions are, if you're staying in a central neighborhood such as the Plaka, a lot of the sites are very walkable. Like there were times where we didn't need to use the metro at all because it was actually easier for us to walk than to take public transportation. I don't know if you experienced the same thing, Rosa, with that.
Yeah, similar. So where we stood last time, I think the name of the place was called Okupa or something along those lines. I forget the name, but it was very convenient, very easily walkable, and it was in the Plaka area. And like you said, it was just much more accessible. I didn't have to necessarily worry too much about like taking the train or a taxi. For some locations we had to, but for the most part, there's a lot of things to do right there within the vicinity, from like places to eat to like shopping, some of the sites. So definitely depending upon what your interests are or what you plan on visiting, you can find accommodations are going to be within easy access and to some are like really cool rooftop too.
Yeah. Did you find that staying in La Placa was worth it? Because that's a neighborhood that's beautiful. We walk through it, but it does tend to have a lot of tourists. So I was curious about your opinions on the area in general for booking a French trip.
Yeah, so the first time we went, we stood in Placa, and I think that was like very convenient because at that point, like I said, it was a terrible trip. We had really bad food poisoning, so we didn't really get to do much. But there was a lot of like restaurants and shops. So it was nice to have the convenience to be able to kind of walk around, not have to worry about getting like on a taxi or finding public transportation. And then when we went to the Acropolis, it was super easy access. So personally, I liked it. There's also the other neighborhood. What is it called? Montessori area. I'm like
Yeah,
butchering the name.
that's near where we stayed. Yeah, guys, just as an FYI, my Greek is not good.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
I'll really try my best with the pronunciation. If I am butchering things, I just want to apologize up front. I'm so sorry. I'll really try. But yeah, Monostraki Square, is that what you're
There you
thinking
go.
of?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I felt like that was really nice. But with the thing with that, I feel like it was a little bit more busier. So if you want something that's a little bit more chill and maybe not as noisy, then that might not be a good option. What's the other word? Syntagma Square. It's also like a good choice because it's also very like central, easy access to the metro and to some of the things to see as well.
Yeah, and I think that one doesn't have a lot of really nice shopping as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
We didn't really get over there, unfortunately, but I heard the shopping is amazing. But yeah, Monostraki Square, like, so that was actually our closest metro because when we were staying in the Siri neighborhood, it's just like a 5 minute walk from that area. So it was really super convenient, again, for the metro, for the airport. Like when we like took the train from the airport, we only had a 5 minute walk to our hotel, but it's definitely busy. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm not really a city person or I need some time to get adjusted to a new city, it may not be the area for you. Now, Now, I did like the Siri area with my friend because, like I said, there's a ton of great places for brunch, a bunch of little cafes. It's really known for like its bars and the nightlife.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little gritty. There's a lot of street art. It's a lot of fun. I personally like that. So if that sounds like your scene, it's a good neighborhood to stay in. And also the accommodation is a little more affordable than other areas. I forget exactly what we spent, but I think for like 3 nights, it was definitely like less than 350 for the whole thing. So you can find some nice deals there. And the accommodation was nice. It was really, really cute. I'll have to look it up and link it in the show notes. But my friend and I, we really enjoyed the area. So that is another option. And being right near the square, you can just like take the metro pretty much everywhere. So it was great.
Easy access. I know. I forget the place that we stood when we went last year, but it had like a really nice rooftop and you can see the Acropolis at light up at night. And then the place that I went to when we went in the month of March, it was called Okupa. It's a very like hip hotel. And that was also in the Plaka area, a little bit like further back. So maybe it's like about a 25 minute walk to like the main center area. So that one was also really nice. And it also had like a little rooftop and you can see like the Acropolis. So that part was like pretty cool and easy access to like the buses and everything. But what would you say when it comes to the time of the year? What would
All
be a
right.
good time to visit Athens?
So everyone
I know
knows
where
what
this
I'm.
is going.
So I'm limited when I can go. I don't know if Athens is, I'm just referring to Newark Airport here. I don't know if the direct flight is just a seasonal route only, or if you could go in the spring from Newark. I think it's year round at
I think it's
JFK.
a year round, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I've heard great things about all times of the year. I was limited to going in July. Now, I will say, because I know some people are understandably concerned about the heat, because it does get hot. I will say though, Athens, we had no issue finding air conditioning. We had no issue finding places to cool down. So actually, like the heat didn't bother me so much. And it's also very much a dry heat. So being from New Jersey, I'm used to high humidity, which is a million times worse. So the dry heat, it actually like wasn't too bad, especially if like during the hottest hours of the day, we would go back between like 2 and 4, take a nap and go back out. And it was like fun. It was like a great time. And we weren't like stopped from doing anything. Although I will say about July, it is high season, even though I would say the islands are busier. If you want to do something like, say, a rooftop bar, it's important to have reservations because all of the rooftop bars we went to, they were all booked out, much to our disappointment. Although we ended up finding the cutest little wine bar down an alley and it was perfect. And I think, too, it was also because we went to see a show at the Odeon, which I'll talk about later. It was absolutely incredible. But July was actually pretty nice. And what was cool about it, too, it would stay like light most of the day. And the weather was cooperative. Like I didn't have any major heat waves or anything. Although I could see if the flight were direct and I could go during my spring break, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But I can't speak for the fall and the winter because I've never had the pleasure of going that time of year. How about you, Rosa?
So I've actually visited different times of the year. So the first time we went, we actually went towards like the mid to late October. So it wasn't as crowded. So Athens was actually perfect because, like I said before, we started our trip in like Mykonos, then went to Santorini. And Mykonos was like a ghost town because their season had already ended. So that's like one of the islands that you probably want to visit during the summer months, not necessarily like off season, just because like the nightlife is just lacking. But Athens was perfect because the weather was much more mild, easy to kind of walk around. It wasn't as crowded. So October was a great month. And the second time I went, I actually went in the month of July. And I agree. I feel like it was completely bearable. I don't think there was ever a time where I was struggling with the heat, but we also are strategic. Like if we are going to do some of the sightseeing, we'll do that like early in the morning, especially if you're going to the Acropolis. Definitely suggest doing that early because there's no shade. So, or wearing like a sun hat, sunblock, all of that stuff. But we'll get into that a little bit later into the episode. So, July was a good month, especially if you want to do some day trips outside of Athens and check out some of the beaches. And then the last time I went, just this year, we actually went in the month of March. Or actually, yeah, late March, early April. And I think the weather was like phenomenal. I think we had like one day where like it rained, but the weather was gorgeous. I just had like a jacket. There during the night it was a little bit more on the cooler side, but nothing unbearable. Like it was just like beautiful. It was still pretty busy, So the crowds were still there, not as bad as the summer months. So just kind of keeping that in mind that if you do have some flexibility, maybe like early April, late April, or maybe towards like mid to late October could be a great option. But if you're limited to the summer, it's still 100% doable.
Yeah, I feel like Athens is one of those cities that's a year-round destination because with Greece, like we said earlier, you always think of the islands, and the Greek islands are phenomenal. I need to go to more of them. Like, actually, we're supposed to go to Italy this summer, but like Greece still kind of has a hook in my heart a little bit, and I sort of wish we were going back to Greece. But anyway, because there's so many islands to choose from. But you're right. Like with the islands, like a lot of them are seasonal. If you go too far into shoulder season or they're off season, a lot of the taverns may be closed. There may be limited hours. Where I feel like Athens, being a big city, you really can go any time of year and take advantage of everything. So if you're, say, not a summer person and you have flexibility and you're like, I'm not too fussed about the islands, go to Athens in the winter and check it out. Like everything will still be like open and vibrant. It's not like some of the islands where it shuts down.
Yeah, and even if you have limited time, Athens has so much variety. Like you can do history, you're like right in the city, you have the museums, but you also have beaches that are accessible that are right there in Athens. So you don't really have to go to other islands or go island hopping. So I feel like Athens is a great destination that you can definitely fulfill depending on your interests. Like there's going to be something there for everyone. I don't think you can
Yeah.
go wrong with Athens in general. Plus also too, like you mentioned before, having direct flights out of like New Jersey and New York, it's so convenient. I know the last time we went, we were only there for like 7 days. So we left like on a Saturday, came back the following Saturday. So it's super doable.
It really, really is. And Athens is one of those cities too where you can get a taste of it. Like, again, we spent 3 days in Athens, but I still feel like I could go back because there was so much that we missed. But you can get a taste of it and feel like, okay, like I've seen a lot because all of the sites, again, you can like walk to them. They're all kind of like clustered together, which is really nice. So, Rosa, if you're going to plan a trip with your friends to Athens, I'm putting ideas in your head because I want to go back. What would you say are some of the must-see highlights, that you've seen on your trips there?
Definitely the Acropolis. Like I mentioned before, I highly, highly suggest looking into tour companies that offer like the morning or if you're going to go later in the evening. I do know during like the sunset hours, it's going to be a little bit busier. But when we went, we actually had a super early tour, like around 8 o'clock in the morning. So again, this is during the summer months. So it's peak season. We booked our tickets like well ahead and it was a guided walking tour, which I highly recommend. Normally, when I go to like museums or anything like that, we kind of like DIY it and do like our own thing. But I feel for the Acropolis, it's definitely recommended if you do hire a tour company. I think the one that we used was called like Athens Walking Tours or something like that. And they were phenomenal. Our guide, she spoke English. She was super funny. She took us around. We did a lot of cool like photo ops. And by the time we were like walking down, like checking other parts of the Parthenon, that's when things started to get like really, really busy. And at this point, it was probably like maybe like 11:30 in the morning. So it definitely gets packed very, very early. So I highly suggest checking out the Acropolis because like even if you're not a history buff, believe me, you're going to love it. And the museum too. Like save some time and check out the museum as well.
Yeah, I think like with the Acropolis, you definitely need to allocate a half a day for that because I did the exact same thing with my friend. So she's really like aware of the sun and heat stroke. She spent some time growing up in Arizona. So like obviously when you have lived in a place with that like that, to respect the sun. So we had a walking tour at 8 a.m. Same thing, bright and early. So it wasn't too sweltering hot yet, but there is like literally no shade. So it was smart to go at that time. And when we were leaving, it was probably around 10 o'clock to go back down to the museum. It was crowded getting up there. And keep in mind, the Acropolis is a big hill. So you have to climb up that. And by doing the guided tour, it was nice because she had some strategic stops planned where she could explain some of the history. So even me, I am not, I would say, in super shape whatsoever. But because we had those stops planned, it definitely, I didn't feel exhausted at all. And having the hat helped, although I will say when we were up there, it was incredibly windy. So my like sun hat just kept like, flying off my head and I gave up. But something important if you go to the Acropolis in the summer months, don't skip out on the water. They do have a vending machine up there that sells water for like 50 cents. So don't cheap out on that because the heat and all, like it wasn't bad. Like July was already bearable, but it can sneak up on you because it's a dry heat. So just take advantage of that water when you're up there. It's not that expensive. I think we brought like 4 of them and we were just like chugging water. And then the museum's fantastic. Like our tour continued down there. She explained everything, and the museum's air conditioned as well. So
I was
yeah,
gonna say that there's air conditioning, so you can go hide
and
in the
it's
museum
good
afterwards.
air
It's
conditioning.
really, and
It's
the
good
museum's
air
really
conditioning.
good.
Yeah,
And I
it's
have to
good air
say,
conditioning.
well, yeah, but the museum itself was really, really good. I actually enjoyed it much more than I thought. And mind you, this was the second time that I had visited the Acropolis, but this is my first time visiting the museum. So highly, highly recommend that. And another one of my favorite is actually the Temple of Poseidon. So that is a day trip that you would do outside of Athens, and it's about like an hour drive. So for this one, we booked a group tour and we took like the bus. It took the entire group. We drove over there and it's about like an hour, hour and a half. And it's beautiful. You go during sunset. So you have the temple and like the Aegean Sea in the backdrop. It was just beautiful, beautiful. So highly recommend doing that one. And just make sure that you plan ahead. There is a restaurant on site, but don't make the mistake of going there hungry because you're gonna be there for like a long time. And like the hours that you leave, they're like weird hours because I think our group tour left maybe like around 5 was the meeting time, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, it
And you
was
get
for
back
us too.
late. You get back like at almost 10 p.m. back into like the city center in Athens. So make sure you plan accordingly or be like me and make sure you pack some snacks.
Yeah, be like Rosa and Pack Snacks. Don't be like us. Because I booked it. I mean, it's technically my fault. We went and we did do a stop. It left around 5, the bus, and we did a stop at like a cafeteria, but we were just like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We didn't realize how long it took to get out there. And also it was summer, so sunset was like 9 o'clock at night. So we just didn't think. It was a stupid mistake. And that was the time when it took like a long time to get back because there was still traffic on the road going into Athens. And by the time we got back to the Siri neighborhood, we were like everywhere the kitchens were closing. So that's like a rookie mistake. Like the Greeks eat late, but don't assume that these restaurants are open all hours of the night. Like I live in kind of like a collegey area. And so yeah, there you can like order whatever you want at 2 a.m. and it's totally fine. Not so much in Athens. So make sure that you're planning ahead. We had to stop at this place called Potato King and they saved us. It was like this French fry place. And I am so grateful to Potato King because otherwise I would have gone to bed on an empty stomach and it would have been very, very, very bad. So thank you, Potato King. I love you.
I'm surprised you didn't end up in McDonald's.
I know, I know. We somehow stumbled on this place and the guy was so nice. He's like, let us tell you about our homemade fries. And I'm just like, I could hug you right now. I'm like, that just sounds like a piece of heaven. Thank you. But the day trip is definitely worth it. I will say, doing a guided tour is probably the best way to go about it because I don't think there's any way you can really go by public transit. As far as I know, I could be completely wrong, but it was just like easier just to do the bus tour for sure.
I think there's like a bus that they'll leave you like nearby, but then from there you probably have to take a taxi. So at that point, unless you're driving yourself, I think the guided tour it's much more convenient and accessible. You don't have to worry about driving, especially because it's like a winding road at one point to kind of get to the top of the temple. During the last trip, Michael and I were actually walking where they did the Olympics. I forget the exact name of the location. I'll have to put it on the show notes. But this is where they had like the first like, Olympics in Athens, and that was like super cool. We walked that. You get to walk around. You get to go like in the dungeon to kind of see they have like artifacts from like the different years of the Olympics. So that was a really cool like day trip. And I was feeling ambitious and we are like, oh, let's just walk it. But that was a little bit more of a further walk. So maybe my suggestion, if you want to kind of hit multiple spots, maybe doing one of the hop on, hop off buses, because it brings you to a lot of the different locations within Athens that you can go sightseeing. So that could be a good way and you don't have to be crazy like me and walk like an hour.
Yeah, there's just like again so much history there. I'm just like peeking down at my phone. I have Google Maps up of all the places I have tagged. So the other one I liked was the Temple of Hephaestus, I think is how you say it. It is the coolest thing. So it's like below the Acropolis, so you don't have to go up a hill or anything. But I think it's the most like preserved Grecian temple in Athens. It almost looks like it was built yesterday, and it's really cool to see. We got a lot of phenomenal like photos with the sun rays coming through like the columns. So that's like another good recommendation. And then right below the Acropolis is the Odeon, which is the big theater where they did all like the shows in ancient Greece. Unfortunately, I do think it's going to close for renovations. But when my friend and I were there, we actually saw the ballet one night. And it was just so cool to be sitting in this big ancient Greek theater under the stars watching the ballet and just like feeling like the breeze and just like sitting in this ancient temple. I started to cry, but I cry at everything. But that like really made me cry. It was just like an amazing experience to see a show there, thinking about like how old it is. It was really, really cool. So again, I'm not 100% sure. I do think they're going to close for renovations. So just like stay up to date. And for that, you can buy tickets last minute. We asked our hotel if there were any available. They were very helpful. We were able to get tickets for the ballet. The only thing with the Odeon that they're strict about is they'll sell alcohol outside, but you can't bring the alcohol with you, just water. And wearing any kind of like high heels are forbidden because of the nature of like the stone seats. It's very uneven. You do have to be super, super careful walking. So with footwear, they are incredibly strict. So if you want to see a show, just make sure you plan accordingly for that.
Exactly. Be mindful. One of the
Mhm.
things that we actually discover, well, not discover because it's right there in the heart of Athens, but it's the National Garden. And it was so picturesque. There was even like a little pond area that had turtles like swimming around. And Michael and I, we actually cut through the garden to get to the Olympic location. So it was like a nice way to kind of walk around like the greenery and the scenery. And they have some ruins in there, which is pretty cool. And plus, it's free. So you get to walk around, enjoy the beautiful scenery, and yeah, have a nice little day. There were people there with like picnic and stuff, like enjoying their lunch, just sitting down on the benches. So it's definitely picturesque and a great option if you're looking for like a free activity or a great way to spend a couple of hours throughout the day. And there are some areas with like nice shades. You're surrounded by trees, so it's just like beautiful.
Yeah, nice little oasis in the city. I love
Mm-hmm.
public gardens for that. If I feel like I need a break or if I'm overwhelmed or overstimulated, any kind of public garden is just it. I enjoy like sitting in the shade and like watching other people, looking at the flowers. It's nice. It really, really is.
Yeah, it's definitely very relaxing. And another one of the fun things that we enjoy that's also a free activity is watching the changing of the guards in front of the Parliament building. I don't know if you got to experience
I didn't
that.
have the chance. I have to go back. I miss so much. I'm sitting here like reminiscing and feeling kind of sad because I miss it so much. It's like getting to me. I'm going to try, guys, not to cry on the show. I can't promise it as we continue to record episodes, but I'm trying here. But tell me all about it because it'll like encourage me to go back.
It was so cool. So initially, the last time that we went, like I said, we flew out on a Saturday, so we landed like on Sunday. By the time we got into the area, I was like, "Oh, let's go check out." So we just missed it because apparently on Sundays they do like a very elaborate like performance of the changing of the guards, and it's just like so cool, like to see them like standing straight with their clocks just like walking, and it's just like such a cool experience. But they usually do it, I think, like at the beginning of like the hour, and it usually lasts about like 15 minutes, and you get to see them, interchanging and the guards. It's just like a fun experience. I wish I would have caught it on a Sunday when they do like the really elaborate performance, but that's something really cool to kind of check out as well. And that's like
That's
right in front of the
mm,
Parliament building, which is like right there in Syntagma Square. I'm sorry,
mhm.
guys. Like my pronunciation with the Greek places is horrific. So I
We're trying.
apologize in advance.
We're trying. We're trying. It's also, guys, 7:45 p.m. here in New Jersey. Rosa and I have had a long Monday. So we promise we're trying. Yeah, I like miss it so much. And you said too, Rosa, about like the beaches near Athens. Like I've never been to the Athenian Riviera, I think is what it's called. Did you have the chance to like go out towards any of the beaches in Athens?
So yeah, so we did a couple of like trips right in Athens. I'm trying to think. There's one, and it's great too because like you can take the public transportation. So we actually took like the bus, and it brought us to like the one beach area, and we spent a day. It was like a beach club called Bolivar. I forget the name of the actual beach like location, but that wasn't too far. It was probably about like an hour or so bus ride from like the Plaka area, and you pay like a certain fee. I forget how much it was, maybe like 15 euros per person to get into the beach club. And then obviously, once you're inside the beach club, you pay for your consumption, but your admission, if I'm not mistaken, we also had to pay for the chairs separately. I have to look back at my notes. We did that last year. So you pay like an admission fee to get in, but you have like a really cool area. They had like music, and the particular beach club that we went to at night, it actually also turns like into like a club. So that
Nice.
looked like super duper fun. But we didn't get to stay for the nighttime because the following day we were leaving. So we needed to be back like at a reasonable time at our hotel to like pack and everything. But that could be something really cool because you can spend the whole entire day there. So that was a ton of fun. And there's also another beach. I'm trying to think of the name. I'm terrible with the name, so I have to like find it and put it in the show notes. But it's also like super easy access from Athens, and that one's supposed to be more of kind of like a hidden oasis outside of the city. I didn't get to go there, but I saw it on social media. But I think that one's a little bit not complicated, but I think you needed to take like a metro and then a bus to get there, or you can drive.
Yeah, and it sounds like a really like fun area to go with friends. Like I feel like if you're planning a trip to Athens with friends, the Riviera area is a great place to go, especially like you said with the clubs. Like if you didn't have to get up for an early flight. I know the one day we had a relatively early flight to go to Crete, early being 2 p.m. It was still early for us because we had stopped at that wine bar, but anyway, to take advantage and enjoy it with friends would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, totally. And one of the good things I like too about Athens that it's a great hub. So even if that's like kind of your home base, you can do a lot of cool day trips outside of Athens and they're super accessible. One of my favorite spots that I have been to is we took a ferry from Athens to Hydra or Hydra. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that was a really cool day trip and I think it was like about an hour ferry. So super accessible to get there. It wasn't that expensive. And once you're on that little island, there are no cars or motorized vehicles. So when you get to the docking area of the ferry, you'll see a ton of donkeys lined up because that is like your Uber.
The
Like,
donkeys, they
yeah.
look so cute. I've seen pictures of the donkeys and I just want to go up and like hug them and like pet them and feed them.
I don't know if you want to pet these donkeys. They look like they were ready to like
The
these
donkey
were working donkeys.
the donkey would be like, "Get up out of my face, you American."
Like, listen, I'm on the clock. I need to get these passengers, get my meal of the day. But
The
that was
donkey
such a
has no
cool.
time.
No, exactly. It has no time to be pet. But that was a really cool day trip to do from Athens. Like I said, super accessible. We did that in one day. We went early in the morning. We hung out in the beach area, did some walking, did some shopping, had dinner, and then took the ferry back. And we're in a hotel before nighttime.
It's amazing. That's definitely a day trip I want to do the next time I go there for sure, because it's one of the ones that it's high on my list and I missed it. So the next time I plan a French trip to Athens, I definitely know what I will be adding to that list.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy. And there's a lot of different islands that you can do that are super accessible. I think that was the only one that we did out of the day trip from there. And then one of the places we went to recently was Naflio, but that's like a 2 hours. So I wouldn't necessarily think of that as like a day trip. That's something more if you wanted to go for like a couple of days.
Yeah, that's really cool too. Yeah, so guys, there's a lot to see and do. So even if you're not like a fan of like the city vibe, there's just like a lot of places to go. So are there any like restaurants or rooftop bars that stand out in your mind? I know for the trip I did with my friend, our first night we went to a Bib Gourmand. So if you know anything about me, I'm kind of like a foodie and I love the Michelin guides. So the Bib Gourmands, they're like restaurants in the guide that offer great food, but like still at a more reasonable price point than say a Michelin star restaurant. And we went to a place called Nolan, and I think it was near the Placa, and it was like a fusion type restaurant. And we went there our first night, and it was so good. Just like every dish we tried was to die for. We might have spent like a lot of money because we ordered literally everything, but it was good. So highly recommend Nolan. Get reservations beforehand. It was easy enough to book online. Super simple to do. But that was like one restaurant that stood out like to me that I still remember. It was a great meal.
It sounds delicious. I know I'm like going through my phone because I'm like, there was a couple of places that I went to recently that I actually enjoy. So one of the rooftop that we went to is called A for Athens. And that
Okay.
one was pretty cool. The only thing is that they have drinks, but they don't serve food.
Okay.
So I thought that I was going to be able to get like a light bite, but no, they do not do food there. So it's a great spot for drinks. And then you have at the nice rooftop. Then you can see like down to the square. You can see the Acropolis at the top. And I felt like the drinks were reasonably priced. And they have like a really cool like cocktail menu. So like very like unique. I got like a pina colada, but it was like a different like twist to the pina colada. Everything was like made there fresh and it tasted phenomenal. So highly recommend. A is for Athens.
I'm going to add it as we're sitting here. I have my phone out, guys. It's because I'm adding things to Athens because I really feel like I need to go back. A4. Oh, look, it popped right up. Let's save that here.
It's a really cool rooftop. And then we went to this one place for dinner, which was phenomenal. And I'm gonna have to put it in the show notes because I think it's called the Old Tavern of Pasaras. And
Okay.
this is in the Anafliotia. Oh my gosh, I'm so terrible with the names. Anafliotia area, which is like super picturesque. It
So
has like,
cute.
yeah, the whitewash like walls. So it kind of makes you feel like you're like in Santorini or like in Mykonos, but you're right there in Athens. The only thing is there are a lot of stairs, so you have to like walk up. So bear that in mind. This is not the time to be cute and wearing high heels, ladies. Like, be
No,
comfortable,
I
please.
I wore my
Because,
sneakers, and guys,
yeah,
don't be like me because I did that my first day before. I think I might have gotten some sleep, but it was right after we did that international flight, and I
yeah.
think I still had Xanax in my system. Hooray! Don't do that.
And the food at that restaurant, like I feel like you really can't go wrong with a lot of places. Like I love seafood, like fresh fish. And we got a fish and they like filleted right there in front of us. And it was super simple, like with like vegetables and that was it. But it was like phenomenal. And like the wine in Greece, oh my gosh.
My God, guys.
Like,
Don't get me
like
started. I wish I could find the name of that wine bar we went to that I keep talking about that was really good. I feel like I need to ask my friend, and I'll include that in the show notes as well. But it was really cool because it was a small wine bar. And the gentleman who was the owner, he came out actually with a huge map of Greece and was pointing out all the wineries in Crete that we could go to and where the individual wines came from. And there you could get light bites. So it was absolutely perfect. And then something else I had on my map. This was actually right near my hotel. I don't know how the food is because like I didn't eat there, but it's called the Little Kook. Did you walk by there?
oh
And it was
yeah,
all
we walked by there. Yeah.
it's just like I didn't like eat there or anything, but it's really cool. So it's like a cafe and they like decorate for different like fairy tales. So when I was in Athens, they were decorated for Snow White and they really do go all out. So if you
Mine
just
was
want to go
Alice in
there,
Wonderland.
yeah. So if you just want to go for like some pictures again, I didn't eat there, so I can't like talk about the food either way. It was fun, like just walking through and seeing the decorations. It was cute.
It's a super cute spot. Another restaurant that we went that the food was really good. And here I believe we had like more like meats and steak and stuff like that. And everything was like delicious. It's called Maroni. And
Mm.
for that place, this is when we went in July of last year. You definitely need to make reservations ahead of time because we got lucky and were able to get like an early dinner. But the place is super fun. Like at the end, they gave us like free like uzu shots. It was
Mm-hmm.
so funny because the guy looked at Samantha. So this was last year. So Samantha was 19 and Sam looks like a baby. So he brings her like a Kool-Aid type of drink. And then we're joking around. And then we're like, she's old enough to drink. They're like, no. So they took the drink and then brought her back the Uzo. And I was like, no, 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 she doesn't need to drink.
The real one.
So they were super cute. And they were like bringing us like dessert. And then at the end of the night, all of the staff, they come out and they're singing like the traditional like Greek music and they're like breaking the plates and you're like, Oppa! And they're getting like all of the people like they're eating like out and dancing. And it was like a ton of fun. And the food was delicious. So highly recommend that one. And if
Yeah.
you are a meat lover, there's another place that it's called, I'm looking at my phone here. It's like some of the words are like in Greek. So I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
I feel
pronounce it in
that. I
English,
feel that.
but I think it's called Minapo. Minapo. And again, guys, we'll put everything
Okay.
in the show note. But that place
Yeah.
was so good. They brought Michael order like a tray of different variety of meats. And the guy was so funny. He was like, you're not going to eat all of that. And Michael's like, oh yeah, watch me.
It's like, watch me.
He almost
Eh,
went into a food coma, but he managed to eat it all.
Yeah.
So,
I found the wine bar that we went to. It was called Wine O'Clock.
okay.
Wine O'Clock, and it was super, super cute. And they have, I'm reading here, they have like a wine like tasting experience. So you could do like a whole tasting of different wines, which is what I think we did. And he picked them out for us. And they had like great like bites, so it was awesome. And it's in like a central area. I don't think it's the Plaka, or it might be right near there, but yeah, Wine O'Clock. It was phenomenal. So add Wine O'Clock to your list if you like delicious wines. And then there's another one that I'll have to ask my good friend for. It was our last night there, and it was in the Michelin Guide, and it was actually an Italian restaurant, but the chef was a Greek chef and really, really talented. The food was so good, the pasta and the pizza. It was a nice like palate cleanser because we were coming odd of like 11 days in Greece, and we're like, we'll try this Italian place. It was really, really, really good, and the chef was just like fantastic. So I'll find that one and put it in the show notes. But obviously, you're not going to go hungry in Athens at all. And I didn't do this, but I do always like to recommend, especially if you're traveling with a group and you like food, do a food tour. I'd imagine Athens probably has like a ton of them that are really fun to do. So that way you
Yeah.
can try a bit of everything.
The company that we did the tour for the Acropolis actually had like food walking tours. They were usually early in the morning, so it just didn't work out with some of the things that we had planned. But they did that, and they did like a cooking class, which I think would be a ton of fun. We actually did a cooking class not in Athens, but in Nafplio, and it was phenomenal. It was like a great way to like get to meet the locals. So I think Athens would be a great destination to do like a cooking tour or walking tour. But was there any like specific like dish that you tried while in Athens that were memorable?
Oh man, I could have like drowned in the tzatziki. Like we
Oh,
were just ordering it like at every single meal, and it was so good. Like I'm a fan of like different dips and all anyway, and it was like absolutely delicious. And then anything with lamb was of course like spectacular because like Greece is known for their lamb, and it, you know, any like type of like lamb meal I knew was going to be delicious. How
just
about
bear, I
you?
was gonna say about the lamb real quick. Just bear in mind when walking around, especially like in the Plaka area, some of the restaurants outside, they're like grilling the lamb. So if you're like me and you don't like to see your food being grilled, just like
No!
blinders, just like blinders on. Because there was one point like you saw the lamb. It was at the very early stage. Like I don't want to get graphic, but it was at the early stage of the grilling process. I looked at Michael. I was like, "Oh my gosh, just give me some feta. Just give me a Greek
Oh,
salad.
there we go. The feta is
I'm
good.
just gonna be vegetarian for this
I
trip."
yeah, I love. I'm glad you brought up the feta because we were ordering that constantly too. I love a good like feta with honey, like
Oh my
feta
god,
with honey. My
so
goodness! And then
good.
for breakfast, the Greek
The
yogurt.
Greek yogurt,
The
yeah, you
Greek
can't go
yogurt.
wrong.
I cannot go back to eating yogurt in the United States. I think I
No,
talked about this on another episode, but it's bad. Like I'll order yogurt from Trader Joe's or Wegmans, and it's not like crap. It's Greek yogurt, but it's not
it's
really
not the
Greek
same.
yogurt. I
It
can't
is
do
not
it.
the
I can't do
same.
it. It's
I
really,
don't
really
like
bad.
Greek yogurt like back home, like here in the States. Like I'm not a fan of Greek yogurt. But when we were in Greece, like when I tell you I was devouring the Greek yogurt. And like you said, all you need is like a little bit of honey and like that was it. Like it was like phenomenal. And it was great for like even like
Mhm.
dessert in some of the places. They would have like Greek yogurt with like some type of marmalade and it was delicious. I'm like ready to plan a trip to Athens and I'm trying to think, what do you call the fried cheese?
Uh,
Saganaki? Something like that. But the fried cheese is so good because it's like nice and like ooey and they put like it's kind of caramelized at the top and it was delicious,
there's
delicious.
so
I
much
think
good
it's
food.
Saganaki, I think.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with
I
Greek
know.
food,
I'm like,
and they
just send
give
me back.
you a lot of it. Did you have any, what is it called? The moussaka? I love
I
that stuff.
didn't.
Oh my god, the moussaka. Was ordering that
That's the
left
one
and
that's
right
kind of like a
too.
lasagna, right?
It
It looks
looks
like a
like
lasagna.
lasagna, and it's really, really good. I miss it every day. Damn it. Like, I like want to go back to Greece. Like, I'm
Well,
depressed now.
this episode is to help people plan a trip to Greece. So we'll refocus. Maybe
You
we'll
need to
switch
do it.
gears.
Do it for your girl, Rachel. Just like make sure you do plan
We'll
it
live
and go.
vicariously through everyone's like stories. But what would
Yeah.
you say are like some essential items to pack for a trip to Greece
Good
or
one.
specifically Athens?
So with Athens, I know we mentioned this a couple times. You're going to be doing a lot more like uphill, like walking than you think, because obviously the Acropolis is a hill, and then there's other hills around like Athens that you like may want to explore and see. So just make sure that you're wearing appropriate shoes. Sneakers with good grip are always good because you don't want to slip and fall, especially going up to the Acropolis as you're walking up there because some of those steps can be slippy. So just make sure that you have really, really good footwear. That would be first and foremost what I would absolutely recommend bringing. And like I said earlier, say if you want to go to the Odeon and see a show, they won't let you in if you're just like wearing heels because it's not safe. Like you could bust your ankles. Sneakers are a must. Bring a sun hat if you're coming in the summer months. Like it does really help with keeping you cool. It keeps the sun off your face, makes a very big difference. And if you're going in the summer months, always reapply that sunscreen because you want to keep your skin looking nice and healthy and happy. So make sure that you're bringing that with you as well. What would you say are your essentials to bring to Athens, Rosa?
Yeah, I think you covered the bulk of them. So definitely being comfortable, maybe like wearing breathable like dresses and like linens. Like I know when I went, I wanted to be cute because I wanted to take tons of photos, of course, for like for Instagram and all that fun stuff. So making sure that the clothing is not just cute, but it's also comfortable. Like not wearing like sticky dresses, especially if you're going during like the summer months. Also bringing like a light jacket or maybe like a wrap because depending on the time of the year, like when I went in March, like the temperature would drop a little bit in the nighttime. So definitely having a light jacket made a ton of difference when exploring outside in the nighttime. And then like a crossbody bag just to be a little bit more accessible because you are in areas where you are going to be congested, a lot of people, whether you're taking public transport. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your personal belongings safe. So having a crossbody bag, I think just makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about putting yourself at risk for like pickpocketing. Even though the times that I've gone to Athens, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I felt either uncomfortable or unsafe. Like Rachel said at the beginning of the episode, there are some areas, remember, Athens is a big city. There are some areas that are going to be a little bit rough, that you're going to see graffiti, that you're going to see, a little bit more of a rougher side of the city. But at no point did I ever feel uncomfortable or feared for my safety while visiting Athens.
No, I would agree. So with like the matter of safety, if you're planning like a friend's trip to Athens, I also felt really safe. Like on two separate nights, my friend and I we came back pretty late. Like it was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And we felt fine, like walking back to our hotel. Like I didn't feel uneasy at all. Now, of course, there are areas. Please do your research, be mindful, be aware. Like Rosa said, a crossbody bag is always really good if you're concerned about pickpockets. Highly would recommend that. But don't lose your sleep over safety either. Like if you're like used to like cities at home, I think you'll be more than fine. In Athens, just don't, if you wouldn't do it at home, don't do it in Athens. I would say would be the bulk of my safety advice there.
And another thing to pack is your patience. So in Greece, people do tend to live a little slower pace of a lifestyle. So when you're at a restaurant or like at a cafe, don't expect to be rushed like we are back home where like you're literally on a time limit. There, the service could be a little bit more lax, but I feel like it's part of the experience because it's a little bit more chill. You don't feel like you just need to like eat your meal or drink your coffee like, super quick. You actually get to enjoy, and it's great for like people watching too, just like sitting in a cafe, enjoying like what is it called? Like the Fredo cappuccino, which is like a Greek
I
specialty.
forgot about those. Oh my
Mm.
God, I
They're
forgot about
great,
how much I
especially in
love
the
those.
summertime. They're a little too strong for me. Like the ones that I've had, when we went to Crete, we did a couple of cafes there, and I felt like the espresso and like the coffee that they use in Greece was a little too strong for my liking. But if
I
you're a coffee
loved
lover,
it. Oh my God, I
definitely get
loved it.
yourself a nice little Fredo cappuccino.
Yeah. Yeah. Full disclosure, guys, I have a caffeine addiction that's really, really bad. The Fredo cappuccinos were divine. And it's good that you brought that up because, like, one of the questions we had on there is, like, where can you kind of go to kind of truly, like, feel Athens? I would say, like, finding, like, a really cool, like, little, like, cafe or a restaurant where you can sit and watch and enjoy your meal because, like, something when you're planning a trip, keep in mind, like, a meal is an event. They're not going to rush you out the door. If anything, like you're going to stand out if you do that because that's just not the way they do things there. Like I would always allocate like at least 2 hours for lunch because I know like that it was expected that you would have a glass of wine, that you would have like maybe your salad, your main, and finish up with a coffee. It's just not like the same as it is, say, like in New York City, where you're more like, say, on a time crunch. I think if you like wanted to sit there for 3 hours, they would be like, "Are you in the right place?" But
Exactly.
yeah, I
Enjoy
would
the
say
slower
that's
pace.
yeah, so I would say like a really cool like cafe or restaurant would be a place to really like feel like Athens like in your like heart. Like I do like love doing that, just like people watching. And two, if you're doing a French trip, it gives you a chance to sit and catch up with your friends. And what's nice with Greece is like the portions tend to be on the larger side, so you can order like two or three
You read
things
my
and share.
mind.
Yeah,
I was
and
just gonna
share.
say that it's very family style when going out to eat because the portions are huge.
So good. I miss Athens.
I know. It's like, guys, just stop us
Go to
from planning a trip. Like I need more trips. Like Rachel and I were just talking before we started
Oh
the episode
God, yes,
about
I
our
know.
2026 travels. And I'm like, I need some places to go. Like I'm gonna do like a late summer in Europe, I think, for next year. It's what my goal is. So I think I might just go to Athens again. I don't know. It's
I
like so many great
know.
places that I love because I love Italy, I love Portugal, but today's episode is about Athens. So we'll
Yeah, we'll do an
refocus.
episode on our travel goals for 2026, and you can be like, this woman is just so indecisive. She should just like pack her bags and be nomadic for 2 years and get it out of her system because she just is crazy, which, you wouldn't be wrong. I mean,
Sounds like my goal. So let's switch into some fun rapid fire
yes, my
questions.
favorite part. Let's do it.
All right. So would you rather hike up to the Acropolis at sunrise or watch it glow from a rooftop bar at sunset?
I'm going to be lazy because I get up at sunrise every day for work, and I'm going to say watch it glow from a rooftop bar at sunset on with the caveat, if I have decent seats. I don't want to be like standing the whole time, but if I have decent seats with a beautiful view, I would love to just like see it at sunset. How about you?
Same. I think like to wake up early for sunrise and then walk up the hill without being caffeinated. It's going to be way too early for me to be drinking coffee. So like I'm just going to probably be cranky. I don't think I'm going to enjoy the sunrise as much. So I think I'll just sit at a rooftop bar and enjoy the sunset glow.
I totally feel that. So, would you rather spend an afternoon wandering the markets of Monstraki or exploring the galleries and street art in Siri?
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like the markets were so fun and seeing like all of the cool stuff. However, like the street art is just like phenomenal. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the street art. After
Yeah,
a while, like the shopping, I'm like, okay, I want to see something new.
the street art in Siri was really good. I took so many pictures of the street art there because we were staying in the area and it was really cool. And I do wish I had more time to go like shopping there because there were some like cool little shops right near our hotel. Although we did happen to miss the markets. So I would want to see the markets too, technically. So that's a hard one.
You need a new trip.
I do. I
Athens
do.
2026, here we come. All
Yep.
right. Would you rather take a day trip to the Temple of Poseidon at Cape Sinon or catch a ferry to the Aegean for seaside pistachios and some ocean views?
I would do the ferry, but I did love the Temple of Poseidon and would totally go again. I thought that sunset was one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen in my life. And if you could only fit in one day trip, I think that's the one you should do because it was so unique and cool.
Yeah, that was fun. And I've done that now twice. So I would definitely do it a third time. However, I do love myself a nice ocean view. So maybe I'll do the ferry, except I don't want the pistachios. Just give me the wine.
Yeah. All right. So, would you rather try every classic taverna dish in one epic meal or spend the evening hopping between modern wine bars and mezzy spots?
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess I'm gonna have to go with the try every classic taverna dish just because I am more of a foodie than a drinker. Like after one or two glasses of wine, I'm probably gonna fall asleep at the table. However, I can spend the whole day just like going like on a food crawl.
Yeah. I could totally see that. I would probably do the same thing because you could just like sit there and gossip. And if you're going on a French trip, like you need those 2 hours to talk about people. Not that I do such a thing ever.
It's like give me the tea. Just give me the tea.
Anyone who knows me knows I am a horrific gossip. So just like sitting there trying all these amazing dishes at one place with the wine. Yeah, sign me up.
Done deal. Well, we really hope that we inspire your next trip. And if you do plan a trip to Athens and you need a +1, Rachel and I are available. Well,
I'm
technically
always
+2.
Yeah, Always available to go to Athens. So, yeah, let us know because Athens is amazing. Definitely like go. It's a great city just like on its own or like a good jumping off point for the islands. Phenomenal to go with friends. There's so much to see and do. And if you love history, like come on, what could be better? Let's be real here.
Exactly. And if this is your first time visiting like a large city in Europe or like depending on where you're from, like actually give Athens a chance. I can speak from my own personal experience. The first time I went to Athens, I was like, okay, this is a little rugged. But once you get to actually explore Athens and like the people, it's just like a beautiful, beautiful city. So there's more to it than what meets the eye. So definitely give it an opportunity and you're gonna love it, believe me. Like it's a beautiful city. Like I definitely love it. I enjoy visiting there and definitely would go over and over again given the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's a really cool place. So, I think that wraps up today's journey through Athens. So, we hope this episode gave you inspiration, confidence, and probably more than a tiny case of wanderlust. I'm ready to like book tickets. It's so bad. This has been going on all week. So if you're planning a trip, definitely let us know. We will live vicariously through you. We love hearing your travel stories and like we can help fine tune itineraries. Like we will put like those restaurants in the show notes. I'll also send the accommodation that I used. I'll look up the tour. So we'll have plenty of information for you there. So please make sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. And it really does help us with those subscriber numbers. And if you enjoyed this episode, leaving a quick review helps more travel lovers find us. I think it makes the algorithm happy. So do that if you like this episode. So until next time, besties, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and go to Athens. Book that ticket now. The money will come back. Do it.
And take me with you.
Yep. Take me with you, please. I need to get out of Jersey. Please help.
And on that note, as always, bon voyage, besties.
Bon voyage!
Catch you
Have
on the
fun
next
in
episode.
Athens!